Stewart, by the way, suspended for 2 games, and LeBron James suspended
He didn't
for
even
1
do
game.
anything.
Huh?
He didn't even do anything. Isaiah Stewart, he just ran. Like, he just attacked at him. He didn't actually – that's a little excessive that he was suspended for 2 games.
He
I
looks
think
stupid.
the run around the back, trying to go around the back way and trying to make like Marshawn Lynch against the Saints kind of added a game to that.
He looks so dumb doing that. Like, bro, you look stupid. Like, what are you doing? Like, you knew he knew he was free when he did the whole show where he ran over the guy. He was free. He had a beeline for the king. And you expect me to believe that referee held you back? Like, nah, bro, you got free. And you was like, uh-oh, there ain't nobody in front of me. And then he stopped.
He was face to face with LeBron.
Right.
Yeah, you had your chance. You had your chance. And then they're like, well, if somebody said, well, he saw blood. I'm like, okay, but the man popped you in the face already.
Like he's a killer all of a sudden. He saw blood and he just transformed like he's Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 7. Knock it off.
The NBA is full of guys who really don't want to fight.
That's facts.
That's why
there's a bunch of guys, as my boy Sean Cunningham says, Mr. Hold Me Back.
That's
once you get 3 or 4 guys in between them, oh yeah, it's on.
That's why I say if I was in the league, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'd be just like Jimmy Butler and Kevin Garnett. I'd just be saying whatever. Hey, we ain't gonna fight. I look like the biggest tough guy out there. And Kevin Garnett, make no bones about it, he never wanted to fight. He understood the sign.
There's one guy nobody wants to mess with though.
Who?
James Johnson.
Oh yeah. Well, black belt, right?
Yeah, yeah. James Johnson actually does want to fight. I've talked to him. He actually has no problem with that. He's like, hey, if you go there, go there. And most guys say that, and I'll be like, yeah, whatever. And I've talked to other players. I'm like, no, people are like, no. James really, he's fine with that. If you want to go there, he'll go there with you.
Proper introduction here on this 49ers Monday, brought to you by Gilmore Heating, Air, and Plumbing. Right now, Gilmore is offering Niner fans a $49 furnace safety inspection. Just mentioned this ad. You get more with Gilmore. It's Jason Jones of The Athletic. Jason, congratulations. He's got his cow gear on. Another coaching change. Is this 8 for you?
Something like that.
8 new coaches for you?
Let me count. See, when I first got on at the end of my first partial season, there was Kenny Natt, Paul Westphal. Then we went to Keith Smart, Malone, Corbin, Carl, Yeager, Walton, Gentry.
9. Congratulations. Well, I told.
Hey, at least I
told
wasn't like around all the time for this one. I can't completely blame this one on me. I was like, maybe I'm running these guys off.
I told James Ham, we'll get you something special for your 10th. We'll give you a commemorative something for your.
You should get something for that because that's pretty amazing. You get 10 coaches. I don't know. I mean, 10
amazing is one word for it. Yep.
Amazing. A lot of coaches. 10 coaches in 12 years or something like. Well, we don't have 10, but 9 in like 12 years or something like that. That's unheard of.
Hey, remember they had 3 before the All-Star break once.
Oh man. How do you think this was? This moment feels to me like it was preordained from the moment Monty McNair said Luke Walton will be our guy this year. I don't know why that decision was made. I don't understand it, but I don't know this is what we've been talking about, Jason. I don't understand what Monty thought he was going to see this year that would have kept Luke Walton for keeping this job. Like what we're seeing right now is what Luke has done in his entire time with Sacramento. Have a stretch of a short stretch of good basketball, a longer stretch of bad basketball. That's what Luke Walton has done his entire career in Sacramento.
And that's what makes it confusing. I'm like, why is like losing 7 of 8 all of a sudden worse than losing 9 straight twice? Like, and I've said it before. People in the league believe it. If you're going to fire a guy before Christmas, why was he even back?
Exactly.
I don't understand. I mean, basically, you fired him on half of the games they played this year, and it makes no sense. It's not like Luke was going to be owed more money because you fired him in say July. It just, I mean, I don't understand the thought process of, because I don't care what you hear in a press conference. if you fire a guy after 17, 18 games, you were thinking about it long before because I mean, you fired him because they lost to the Utah Jazz. They probably weren't going to beat Utah no matter what.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was going to get fired, and that's just the reality of it. I mean, and Alvin gets a perfect interim coach, debut game. Philly without half its guys. So this is. But if you were going to fire him for that Utah game, it's like, why didn't you fire him after OKC? Why didn't you fire him after the road trip? Like, what? I don't. Yeah, it's and I to me it was curious that Monty made a point to say, I'm around the team all the time. I talk to all the players and all the coaches. Like he was trying to make it seem like, hey, just so you know, I'm here and I know what I'm like. But what really changed from November 20th, November 21st, from I don't know, May 15th? What just the timing. It's just weird. But I mean, I'm quite used to weird at this point with this team, and now I think you can't you're whooping your kind of your target all the time. Luke is gone. Now we can look at the fact this roster has like 5 centers and 8 guards.
Yeah.
I mean, and then there is that part of it too. I mean, is Luke perfect? No, but let's not act. I think this roster can compete for 10th. I've never said this is a playoff team. They can compete for 10th, which means they could also finish 12th. And I just I don't no one I've talked to around the league thinks this is a playoff roster. And the roster has been the last couple of years, the moves have been so minimal. There's people who actually feel bad for Luke, like, well, dang, I mean, what did you want to do with that group? I mean, hey, we need a small forward. Let's go get Alex Len. It's like, sounds great, and then probably the weirdest one was you have a 6'6", combo guard in DeLon Wright. You trade him for another big. And a lot of these guys you brought in, you re-signed Terrence Davis, who can barely play now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's just a lot. I mean, to me, it's a lot to really sort out. I think just for clarity, say, okay, Luke is gone. No more blaming Luke. Now let's look at this the front office and these players.
Jason, did the players quit on Luke Walton or did Brett screw Brett? Which one was it?
Watching the way they were looking, it looked like the players were just like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
especially Friday.
Yeah, and I mean, and when I heard that clip from the presser with De'Aaron, I was like, yeah, Luke's done. I said, I don't know how you come back from basically the guy's supposed to be your supposed all-star, basically saying, why does it matter? It's not like we're in the playoffs. I mean, I don't know how, I said, at that point, what do you do? I mean, at that point, you can't bring him back now. And like I said, if this was gonna happen this fast, why did you even bring Luke back in the first place? I mean, to me, that's the real question. And I mean, I don't think that was really answered. But I mean, even from all the talk during the summer, talking to people, everyone saw every move as a contingency to replace Luke. When you add Doug, there was already chatter in the summer that when they get rid of Luke, that they all look at Doug. So when I saw the stuff about Doug, I wasn't surprised because I heard that in July. Mm-hmm. So I mean, if you're doing all that, just go ahead and make the move. I mean, why? I mean, you already had, you talk to people in, out there, especially during that summer league time. People are saying, some of those assistants on that staff are trying to get out of there because they know it's about to hit the fan. Like you saw the writing on the wall forever, and it's like, okay, well, just do it. It's like, what are you waiting on? I mean, I thought if Monty wanted to go a different direction, he had a perfect cover. New GM. I saw Luke for a year. Okay, I'm going to go my own way. To me, this does not make them necessarily better. It just adds to the confusion, and then you'll probably do another search, in the off season.
How much of this, like you kind of mentioned this here a little bit. Why didn't you already do this? How much of where the Kings are, not just Luke Walton, but the Kings overall, falls on the shoulders of Monty McNair? You talked about the roster and now firing a guy, 17, 18 games into the season when you could have done it back in May. Like this, to me, Monty McNair has taken a huge L with this whole thing.
Yeah, I think he has. And people talk about, well, Monty's, knows what he's doing. We don't know that Monty knows what he's doing. We really don't. And right now, Monty, especially the first year, he was living off of he's not Vlade.
Yeah.
And people were like, well, at least he did, it's like he didn't
And
really do anything to
Tyrese.
improve it.
He's not
really
Vlade, and
improve
he's
the team
got
last year.
Tyrese. Yeah.
Yeah. So everything, no matter what he did, the reaction was going to be, well, he's not Vlade at least. And I've told people too, say what you will about Vlade. Was he great at the job? No, but you always knew Vlade was trying to win. You can't convince me they weren't trying to win last year. And this year, you look at some of the moves, okay, you tweak some things, you added a little depth, where maybe you say they'll be a little more competitive, but still, you still got a bunch of guards and a bunch, I don't understand how in 2021 you have Rashawn Holmes, Alex Lynn, Tristan Thompson, and Damian Jones all on the same team at the same time. And then you can throw Bagley and Chimezie in there. It's like that's a lot of bigs. And then you can say, who are your wing players? We got Harrison and Mo Harkless, and a bunch of guards 6'4" and under. So it's a weird, So I think, if Vlade had to put this team together, I think the fans would have raised hell. Like, what are you doing? But I think because Monty's not Vlade, people kind of gave him a pass. But now, you know what? I think it's, people are going to say, let's look at what the way this team looks. You've drafted, basically a point guard the last 2 years. And like I've said on here before, you're drafting guards to push the guy you just gave a max contract to, which that tells you what, that's a problem. No matter how people want to look at it. If you got people in the organization saying, yeah, Davion's really going to push De'Aaron, it's like, okay, you've got a bigger issue internally than you want to admit.
Yeah. Speaking of De'Aaron, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, Rashawn Holmes, the core of this team for the last 3 or 4 years, they just don't work, right? Like, it doesn't mean that they're not individually good ball players, but they're now going on their third coach, haven't made the postseason in that time. That needs to be changed. I don't know who it is. I guess take your pick or whatever, but that group, they need to move on from that.
I think you got to break it up. I don't know how you couldn't. I think one of my colleagues said, how do you expect to keep bringing back the same thing and wonder why you're still stuck at 30 wins? I don't know what the move is, but they tried to make a move, in the offseason with the Lakers. But even then, that move doesn't take you over. It's not like Kyle Kuzma's not going to, drastically alter your franchise's direction, but it would have helped. It might have given you a little more, but you got to do something. Like I said, you just can't keep drafting these guards. You have all these assets. You got to do something with them. And, that I think Davion's going to be, a solid player. Tyrese is going to be a solid player. Or I think you have all that. But do you have a guy where you say, yeah, he's going to be my cornerstone? Right. You thought you think it's De'Aaron, but De'Aaron for his career has been very inconsistent. For all those greats, even last season, he had those those player of the week stretches, but then he had those stretches where he's playing like he's playing now. And this team can't be good with a 18-point a game De'Aaron Fox. That's just, I don't care who's coaching them. I don't care if you can go get Greg Popovich out here. If De'Aaron's going to give you 18 points, it's not going to be good enough. And so you got to figure out, do you need to move someone to let De'Aaron be himself? You got to figure something out, because this, what they've got right now, Alvin's going to give it his all, but how much better can Alvin really make this group?
Would you trade De'Aaron?
I wouldn't rule it out. I think it's crazy that you would say anyone on this team is untradeable.
Sure.
I think that's crazy that you would ever say that someone on a team that's never cracked 500 is so valuable you can't move on from them in the right situation. I think you definitely have to explore all options, which would, look at this. DeMarcus Cousins accomplished way more in his time, and he got traded.
Right.
Chris Webber got traded. Mitch Richmond got traded. You have to look at all options if it makes your team better. And I don't think you can ever say in Sacramento situation that, that guy is so good that we can't afford to at least listen. yeah, maybe he's not the first guy you want to move, but if some team wants to give you a haul for De'Aaron, you'd be crazy to be like, you know what? No, we don't like that. You got to at least listen, and the only fear, you have if you're the Kings is that maybe people have seen enough of De'Aaron to where they say, you know what? I have him kind of slotted here as a player. Now I'm not giving you what I maybe would have given you a year ago because now you're asking me to take him back on a max deal. And if I don't view De'Aaron as a max player, you look at the other max players from his class. Would you put if you don't see De'Aaron in the class of a Donovan Mitchell, a Bam Adebayo, a Jason Tatum? Yeah. If you don't see him in that grouping, do you really want to pay him that much money? So you got to consider all that as well.
Yeah. With this group of guys, let's just assume, maybe the deal isn't out there, money doesn't make a deal. Do you believe that they can turn their season around? I'm not saying to get to 6 or anything like that, but really legit contend for a postseason. Do you think they have it in them, or is this team just shot now, in your opinion?
I think they'll do like they've done the last couple of years. They'll have a stretch pretty soon where they'll, win like 4 or 5, and you'll be like, oh, maybe it's theirs. Then they're gonna. This is what teams that aren't good do. They'll have a stretch coming up, and you'll go, wow, okay, maybe they're about to turn the corner. Then they'll lose 5 in a row, and then you'll see the same type of, with some of these guys, we've seen them for 3 or 4 years, and when things go bad, how they go bad for them. You see how they just turn, and I don't see what's going to be different. You would think that a team that comes out and basically says it's playoff or bust will come out with fight and fire every game from the jump. 10 games in, they didn't care. So I don't have the confidence that all of a sudden they're going to be like, yeah, we're going to turn this whole thing around. I think they'll show sometimes we go, okay, yeah, I see it. And then they'll have sometimes we go, okay, this is the reason why Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is going to get 30 on them. They'll have those nights. They'll have plenty of nights like that.
All right. Jason, we know you got to roll, man. You got to get to the arena. We appreciate you carving out a few minutes for us. We'll give you this. You want to hit some air horns? Buster Posey, comeback player of the year. We know that Jason's a big fan of Buster Posey.
I will never see him on the field again. So congratulations, Buster. I mean, that's fine. I have no problem with that. Give him all the awards to keep him at home. If that keeps Buster away from the field, congratulations, Buster. Way to go. I never want to see you on the baseball field again unless it's a ceremony where they're like retiring your jersey. Yeah. They can give Buster all of that stuff. But if he's batting like 3rd or 4th against Walker Buehler, I need no parts of that.
I thought it was pretty cool that the Dodgers tweeted out like their congratulations on your career to Buster Posey. And this is the one of the thing, like me and Jason go back and forth about Giants and Dodgers or whatever, but I know I look at it this way. Jason probably does the same way. I'm so happy to have a Dodgers. You know what I'm saying? Where something like that matters. Like if I was the Mariners, who the hell is the Mariners? Like what exciting game do they have? They're sitting up here talking about the Yankees. Yankees could care less about the Mariners, right?
Right. Like, yeah. I mean, yeah. Maybe really, the Mariners go, the Angels are in town, but does anyone care about the Angels? I mean, I don't know.
No, nobody cares about the Angels. But Giants Dodgers is really real. And I look at this thing where I can't stand Mookie Betts, but the day Mookie Betts retires, I'm gonna tip my hat and be like, yo, the wars that I have with that guy as a fan or whatever the case may be, that's something that I can take with me. So I thought it was pretty cool the Dodgers did.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I did. I'm like, yeah, like I said, hey, you can't really hate Buster Posey. I mean, you can hate him as a going back. I can't think of a thing where I go, I really don't like Buster Posey. Like, what I'm gonna say? I really just don't like you. Okay, whatever. Great career. He'll be in the Hall of Fame. I don't care what people out there on Twitter say. He should not get a statue before Barry. But
no.
I don't care. I don't care if Barry's not in the Hall of Fame. Nobody gets a statue before Barry.
That's facts.
Congratulations on winning the Axe again.
Thank you. That was beautiful. All my Stanford friends that don't want to talk to me. I'm like, man, y'all just really. I said, I was like, really? 41? Really? Y'all just really? I was like, that was beautiful. I was
you
like,
guys needed a dub because it's just ugly everywhere else this year.
I mean, we had the player walk-ons COVID loss to Arizona, which hurt my heart. Arizona hadn't won since I don't know, since Zach Randolph was still in the league, I think. And that one hurt because I'm hearing from the 3 Arizona people I know. I'm like, come on, y'all, really? Y'all really gonna throw this in my face? Yeah, how y'all suck. I'm like, come on, y'all play to get the dude who hasn't played. Literally half our team is at home. That's okay. I don't care about Arizona. They beat Stanford. You know what? I don't care what they do to that next game because so what?
You got the one that mattered.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Jason Jones, we appreciate you, my man.
Right.
Thank you, brother.
See you next week.